Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. In today's video, I am going to be discussing last night's game between the Denver Nuggets and the Milwaukee Bucks. And I think that this 125 to 112 win for the Bucks was probably their best of the year. They were able to go on the road into one of the more difficult places to win in the entire NBA due to the high elevation in Denver and come away with a victory over a genuinely good playoff team, despite Nikola Jokic having an MVP caliber effort for Denver. Now, my one key stat for the Bucks winning this game has got to be Chris Middleton finishing with 12 assists. His improved ability as a playmaker has really been able to further weaponize his offensive game, and his ability to knock down shots is now even more valuable because he's able to force defenders to close out on him, and once he's able to get around those guys by attacking the closeout, he's just such a gifted passer that he's able to make excellent reads and find the open guy in numerous different scenarios. Whether it's finding someone in the corner, someone cutting from the perimeter into the rim, or throwing a lob pass to a big guy, especially Giannis, as Chris and Giannis have established a really nice pick and roll chemistry. Chris is an extremely improved playmaker, and I think that has been really underrated and is a large reason why I think that he has established himself as a top 20-ish player in the NBA. And obviously the scoring stuff is still there. In today's game, despite going 0 for 5 from the three-point line, Chris was able to pile up 29 points on 9 for 16 shooting. That means he went 9 for 11 on 2-point attempts, and he also made all 11 of his free throws. He has done a great job of creating contact on 3-point attempts, and 6 of his 11 free throws came on fouls that occurred behind the arc. He also had an and one and was fouled a couple times on mid-range jumpers, once again in situations where he was able to get his defender in the air. Middleton is very good at making difficult shots, and I think that if you were to go through and watch every single bucket he made in this game, there were only maybe 2 or 3 of them where he was genuinely open. Most of them are with a hand in his face, and he is very, very good at knocking down those shots regardless of the level of difficulty. In this game, he also demonstrated his excellent reflexes on the defensive end of the court. He was able to jump multiple passing lanes and came away with 3 steals. One of those resulted in a baseball-style pass to Giannis, who was able to finish with a dunk. Another ended with Chris getting a dunk, and a third ended with a Bucks shooter getting an open look from the 3-point line. So Chris had an absolutely spectacular game for the Bucks, despite missing every 3-point attempt, and it's just really fun to see how well he has rounded out as a player since his beginnings in Milwaukee all those years ago. Bryn Forbes also was asked to step into the starting lineup tonight because the Bucks were missing Jrue Holiday, who is out with health and safety protocols. Hopefully he's back soon. But I actually liked what I saw from Bryn for large periods of this game. On defense, he did struggle. Will Barton was able to take advantage of this matchup to the tune of 20 points in the first half, and Forbes really didn't look good at all. But in the second half, he did a bit better defensively. The Bucks were able to hide him on Michael Porter Jr., which is usually not a matchup I would have been fine with, but Porter ended up not really looking for the ball, and that made it actually okay that he had the mismatch with Forbes. I think that was something the Nuggets probably should have looked for a bit more, as Porter was pretty passive in this game. But Bryn was fine defensively, and his offense was really good, and that definitely made him getting the starting spot for today's game worth it. He finished with 15 points on 6 for 9 shooting and made 3 of his 6 3-point attempts. This is what the Bucks are going to need Bryn to do. He's going to have to come off the bench and knock down jump shots. And in this game, he did it. So I'm certainly not complaining too much. I think that the defense is definitely worrisome, but as long as he's knocking down shots and the Bucks are able to hide him, I think he's probably a plus for this team on the court. Dante DiVincenzo also filled in the hole that Holiday left in the lineup by having a really nice game. He had just 13 points on 5 for 12 shooting, so it wasn't necessarily the scoring that got it done. But on those shots that he was able to knock down, a lot of them came off the dribble. He hit 2 threes off the bounce from the left wing and made another mid-range shot off the dribble. He made a few nice passes. I'm not sure if any of them resulted in assists, but there were a few occasions where he was able to penetrate and find an open shooter who was then made the extra pass and started a rotation. But I really liked what Dante did in this game offensively, even if he wasn't supremely efficient from the field. 13 points on 12 shots isn't outstanding. But he also was genuinely great defensively. Jamal Murray really struggled in this game, and a large reason for that was Dante's defense. Murray finished with just 11 points on 4 for 17 shooting, and Dante was able to come away with a couple steals as he had 3 of those, one of which was really important as the Nuggets had the ball down the stretch. I think it was about an 8-point game. Dante was able to swipe it away from, I think it was Jamal Murray, and that ended up leading to, I think, a Chris Middleton lob to Giannis that really sealed the game for the Bucks. Dante also had 2 blocked shots. He's always been a very gifted shot blocker on pull-up jumpers, as he's able to sneak up from behind and just kind of poke the ball away from behind the offensive player. So really nice game here from Dante as well. And Torrey Craig did a nice job on Jamal Murray when the opportunity arose for him. Craig also knocked down his shots on offense, which is the big question mark with Torrey. So to see him make all 3 of his 3-point attempts to finish with 9 points was definitely a nice sign. Giannis also had a big game for the Bucks, and I think it's actually kind of crazy that I had enough bullet points prior to him that we're getting into like the 7-minute mark without me touching on Giannis. But this was a solid game. He really struggled in the first half and was not really able to get going until a stretch in the third quarter in which he got to the free throw line on 2 straight possessions, knocked down an off the dribble 3, and they got to the free throw line on a 4th possession to pile up 7 consecutive points. Or excuse me, 7 consecutive, because he missed one of the free throws. I think I did my math right. Wait, 2, 5, 7, 8. 8 consecutive points for the Bucks. My bad. Bad math on my part there. But that really got him going, and he started looking for his own shot a bit more. Ended up banking home a 3-pointer in the 4th quarter, got to the rim for a few dunks, and was found on lob attempts by Chris Middleton on, I believe, 2 occasions. So he was able to put up a nice stat line, 30 points and 9 rebounds on 11 for 23 shooting. And he also made 6 of his 8 free throws, which is always something to keep your eye on and always promising to see him shoot that well from the line. So this was a really nice game from Giannis. I was impressed with the way he played, and it was good to see him bounce back after struggling in the first half. Moving on to the Denver Nuggets. Obviously, Nikola Jokic was really the spoon that stirred the drink for this team. He ended up having a Herculean effort in a 2nd consecutive game. He had 50 points against the Kings on Saturday. In today's game, he had 35 points and 12 rebounds, made 13 of his 26 shots, 3 for 6 from 3, made all 6 of his free throws. In the first half, he kind of struggled. He wasn't able to get his jump shots to go, and he only had 12 points. But in the second half, he kind of came out guns a-blazing and was able to really take advantage of the slow-footed Brook Lopez. Now, Jokic isn't exactly the epitome of quickness himself, but he was able to utilize ball fakes to his advantage in order to get some spacing from Lopez, and that allowed him to put up this outstanding stat line that he did. However, he just didn't get enough help from his other teammates, and that can't fall on Will Barton and Paul Millsap because both of those guys had really nice stretches during this game. Barton was great in the first half, and he finished with 24 points. He struggled defensively, and Chris Middleton really took advantage of that matchup in the post. But overall, Barton's scoring was really valuable to this Nuggets team. He just slowed down in the second half, and I think a large reason for that was Coach Mike Budenholzer switched Bryn Forbes off of him and put Chris Middleton on to Barton, and Middleton did a really nice job with that matchup. Paul Millsap also had a good game. He was a large reason for Giannis's frustration in the first half, as he played very physical defensively on the Greek big man and did not foul despite that physicality, and that led to Giannis getting frustrated both with Millsap himself as well as with the refs. Paul also had a decent game offensively, had 14 points on 5 for 8 shooting, and made 2 of his 5 3-point looks. not anything to roll your eyes at, but not exactly gonna bring the house down either. It's what they want Paul Millsap to bring for them, though, that kind of consistent offensive production while being a glue guy on the other end of the court. The last player to talk about here for me is Monte Morris. Now, I've watched the Nuggets probably 6 or 7 times and made that same amount of videos on them so far this season, but I feel like I always forget to touch on this guy, and that's largely because he puts up stat lines similar to this. Today he had 12 points and 3 assists on 4 for 8 shooting and made 2 of his 3 3-pointers. Usually I'd look at that stat line and say, okay, Monte Morris had a solid game, but is it something worth dedicating some time in my video to? Probably not. Well, today I am going to make up for all the times that I refrained from touching on Monte because he's genuinely one of the best backup point guards in the entire NBA. My dad and I were having a conversation about how George Hill leaving the Bucks has been a pretty big loss, and DJ Augustine wasn't able to fill in his shoes the way that I wanted him to. And my dad said, well, that's because we lost one of the best backup point guards in the league in George Hill. And I said, well, another one of the best backup point guards in the league is on this court today, and it's not DJ Augustine, I'll tell you that much. I was referring to Morris himself. He never turns the ball over, has led the NBA in assist to turnover ratio, I think in like 2 of the 3 last seasons. He's a good shooter from beyond the arc, has been 35% plus in almost every season of his career, I believe, and is just a really nice player for the Nuggets overall, especially offensively. On defense, he can be taken advantage of a little bit because of his lack of size, but he's a really smart player, and that allows him to not be a complete minus on the defensive end of the floor. Overall, Monte Morris deserves a lot of respect for playing his role at the level he does, and I wanted to give him some of that respect in today's video. Overall, this was a fun game. Probably the Bucks' best win of the year, unless I'm forgetting about some other great win, but really don't think I am. It seems like the Bucks have mostly beat up on bad teams and lost to good teams so far this year. The Nuggets were without Gary Harris and PJ Dozier, but at this point, I'm not sure that's that big of a deal. It is. Gary Harris is a great defender. Probably would have limited what Milton was able to do, so forget I ever said that, but I think I've covered everything that I wanted to cover, so leave a like and subscribe if you did enjoy this video. Leave a comment in the comment section down below on what your thoughts were on this game. That will be it for me, ladies and gentlemen. I'll see you all again very soon.